Hello, my name is Elisha Minter, and I'm Senior Library Assistant at Beatty'sford Road Library. We've been sharing stories with you, and we want you to know that your story is important also. I'm going to tell you a bread family tale today, and it goes like this. Back in Fayetteville, North Carolina, where I was raised, there were so many wonderful things that happened on the Tyndall farm. But one of the most important things that I can remember was when my grandmama taught me how to cook biscuits. Child, let me tell you, those were the best biscuits in the whole wide world. When we come to supper, Grandma would have a great big old pan of biscuits that would raise up real big and fat and juicy, and it was all smooth and brown on the top. And us children would get our biscuit, and there would be fresh butter on the table, and we'd split them wide open, and we'd put that butter in the middle there. Child, those biscuits would melt right up in your mouth. That was good eating. Well, came a time when all of us children, especially the girls, now that I think about it, had to learn how to make those biscuits. I wasn't much older than 9 or 10 years old, and Grandma called me in the kitchen. She said, "Elisha, it's time for you to learn to make biscuits." Now, for those of you who don't know, that little lump there in Grandma's mouth, that was some good old sweet peach snuff. Stuff we don't do nowadays. Grandma loved her sweet peach snuff, and she would dip it every day. I had never really noticed her dipping it while she was making biscuits, though, before in my life. She sat me down at that table, and she said, "Now, listen, Ann, there are certain things you have to have when you're making biscuits." With that, she turned around and reached up in the cabinet and pulled down a great big old bowl, set it on the table. Then she got some flour, and she measured out 2 cups, and she put it in there, a little sifter, and started sifting it. She talked to me the whole time she was doing it. I wasn't listening much about her biscuits she was making and how to make them or nothing, 'cause I was always watching that little piece of snuff coming out of her mouth. I sat there watching my grandma, and she said, "Now, Elisha, you gotta take some lard, this big spoon here, put it in there." And she wiped that snuff right on her apron. I always thought that stuff on her apron was gravy, but it wasn't. She kept on working those biscuits. She poured a half a glass of buttermilk and then a half a glass, finished filling it up with some sweet milk. Stirred it up real good. She started making those biscuits. Took a fork and started mashing it all together and getting it all wound up there good. Every now and then she wiped that snuff. I was getting real worried about them biscuits, 'cause I had ate myself a whole bait of them biscuits in my lifetime. She got it rolled up and started putting flour around. She said, "Now you gotta mix it evenly or you have some real hard biscuits." She took a cloth and wiped her hands. Whew, that made me feel a whole lot better. Then she started breaking it off, rolling a little ball right in the middle of her hand. Then she put them in that pan, mashed them down. You could see the 3 fingers on the back of her hand, right in the top of those biscuits, and she got them all laid out. Well, I saw what she was doing, but my little eyes was watching her wipe that snuff away. "Well," she said, "that's all you got to do now. You gonna start making biscuits yourself real soon. Do you hear me?" I said, "Yes, ma'am, Grandma." "Are you listening to me?" "Yes, ma'am, Grandma, I'm listening real good." Well, just as she was about to pick those biscuits up, and put them in the oven, I saw a drop of snuff coming down. And Grandma turned her back to me and put that pan of biscuits up in the oven, closed it up. And when she turned around, that snuff drop was gone. I never saw her wipe that snuff away. So in my mind, I'm thinking, no wonder Grandma biscuits so nice and brown. She smears the snuff all over them. Well, I want to tell you, after that day, Grandma's biscuits just didn't look too appealing to me. And from that day on, I know how to make biscuits, but I don't use no snuff when I'm doing it. And that's the end of that tale. You have lots of tales that you can tell about your family too. That's just one that I'm sharing with you. Thank you.